The creamy straight nose seems brightly frosted or thickly powdered. The shining red eyes can rival e'en white snow dotted with rouge, hugging the ground. She's all fleecy like a bundle of silk, torso stretched out. She's argent like a silver threaded frame. A number of times she drinks at dawn the clear dew of heaven's air, and pounds long life drug with a jade pestle rare. Delighted by the sight, the great sage trod the cloudy luminosity, leading the way, followed by Lord Supreme Yin, Chang'e, and other lunar goddesses, and the jade hare. They arrived at the kingdom of India about dusk, and the moon was just rising. When they neared the city, they could hear the roll of drums on the watchtower. The king and the Tang monk were still in the main hall, while 8 rules and Sha monk, along with many officials at the foot of the steps, were discussing the cessation of court. They saw a glowing sheen of colored mists approaching from due south, its luminosity making the whole place bright as day. As they stared into the sky, they heard the great sage sun crying out in a loud voice, "Your Majesty of India, please ask your queen and concubines to come out and look. Beneath this treasure canopy is the Star Lord of Supreme Yin, and the immortal sisters on both sides of him are the lunar goddesses and Chang'e. This little jade hare is the false princess of your household. She has now revealed her true form." The king hurriedly assembled the queen, his concubines, the palace maidens, and gaily attired girls to bow to the sky and worship. He himself and the Tang monk also expressed their thanks toward the sky by bowing low. All the households in the city also set up incense tables and kowtowed, chanting the name of Buddha. As they looked up into the air, Zhu 8 Rules was moved to lust. Unable to contain himself, he leapt into the air and embraced a rainbow-skirted immortal, crying, "Sister, you and I are old acquaintances. Let's go play." Walking forward to grab hold of him, Pilgrim gave him a couple of slaps on the face and a scolding. "You vulgar idiot," he said. "Where do you think you are, that you dare vent your lust?" "It's just a bit of slapstick," replied 8 Rules. "To dispel my boredom and have some fun. That's all." That Lord Supreme Yin ordered the entourage to turn. With the goddesses, they took the jade hare back to the lunar palace, while Pilgrim yanked 8 Rules back to the ground. After thanking Pilgrim in the main hall, the king asked, "Since the false princess has been captured by the mighty magic power of the divine monk, where is our true princess to be found?" "That true princess of yours," replied Pilgrim, "did not come from mortal stock either. She was actually the immortal Lady White of the lunar palace. Because she slapped the jade hare once 18 years ago, she thought of this world and descended to the region below, where she was conceived in your queen, who gave birth to her. Nursing this former enmity, the little jade hare last year picked open the jade bolt and gold lock and escaped to this place also. She kidnapped the Lady White and left her in the wilds before assuming her form to deceive you. This entire karmic process was told to me personally by Lord Supreme Yin himself. Today the false one has been removed. Tomorrow, you will be asked to go search for the real one." On hearing this, the king became both embarrassed and alarmed, hardly able to hold back the tears flowing down his cheeks. "Child," he said, "since I was enthroned in my youth, I have never even left the gate of the city. Where should I go look for you?" With a smile, Pilgrim said, "No need to be upset. Right now your princess is feigning madness at the benefactor of orphans gold-spreading monastery. Let's retire. By morning, I promise you I'll return your true princess." The other officials, too, prostrated themselves and said, "Let our king put his worries to rest. These several divine monks are Buddhas who are able to soar on the clouds and ride the fog. Most certainly they possess the knowledge of past and future. Let the divine monks go make a search tomorrow, and undoubtedly they will get to the end of the matter." The king agreed and ordered the pilgrims again taken to the spring detaining arbor for their meals and lodging. By then, it was almost the hour of the second watch. Truly, the moon is fair, the copper pots mark their times. as wind wafts the tinklings of golden chimes. Spring has half faded, and the nightjars weep. Petals shroud the path, for the night is deep. An idle swing the royal garden shades. The silver stream a jade blue sky invades. None walks the streets or visits the bazaars. When night's aglow with a sky full of stars. They all rested that night, and we shall leave them for the moment. Because his demonic aura had been dispelled, the king's energy revived during the night. By the third quarter of the fifth watch, he appeared again to hold his morning court, after which he asked for the Tang monk and his 3 disciples to come and discuss the matter of finding his daughter. The elder arrived and greeted him, while the great sage and his 2 brothers also bowed. Returning their bows, the king said, "We spoke of our child, the princess, yesterday. May I trouble the divine monks to look for her?" The elder said, "The day before your humble cleric came from the east, by nightfall we had entered a benefactor of orphans' gold-spreading monastery to ask for lodging. The priests there were good enough to accommodate our request. After dinner, we took a stroll in the moonlight to go to look at the foundation of the old gold-spreading garden. Suddenly we heard the sound of lament. When we inquired into the matter, a priest of the monastery, who was already over 100 years of age, sent away his attendants and told us, 'This is the source of that lament. Late spring last year, I was just meditating on the dialectical relation of the moon and our nature when a breeze brought to me the sounds of weeping and lament. When I arose from my mat and went down to the foundation of the Jetavana garden to look, I found a girl. On being questioned, she told me that she was the daughter of the King of India, blown to that place by a strong gust when she was enjoying the sight of flowers in the moonlight. Since that old priest was quite knowledgeable in human propriety, he locked the princess in a quiet room. Fearing that she might be defiled by other priests in the monastery, he only told them that a monster spirit had been locked up by him. The princess, too, understood his intentions. During the day she would babble absurdities just to win some sustenance of tea and rice for herself. During the night, however, with no one present, she would think of her parents and weep. That old priest had journeyed to the capital several times to try to ascertain the truth. When he learned that the princess, to all appearance, was in the palace and unharmed, he dared not present a memorial on the matter. When he learned, however, that my disciple had some magic powers, he urged us repeatedly to make a thorough investigation. Little did we expect that the jade hair of the Toad Palace had become a monster and, falsely fused with the true form, had taken on the appearance of the princess. The monster, moreover, was hoping to ruin my primal young, and it was fortunate that my disciple exercised his magic power to distinguish the true from the specious. Now the hair has been taken back by the star of supreme yin, but your worthy daughter may still be seen feigning madness at the gold-spreading monastery." When the king heard this meticulous account, he gave voice to loud weeping, so disturbing those in 3 palaces and 6 chambers that they arrived to make inquiry. When they learned of the cause, everyone wept profusely. After a long while, the king asked again, "How far is the gold-spreading monastery from the city?" "No more than 60 miles. Replied Tripitaka. The king at once issued this decree: "Let the consorts of the east and the west palaces guard the main hall, while the court's grand preceptor will defend the kingdom. We and the queen herself will take the many officials and the 4 divine monks to the monastery and bring our princess home." Immediately carriages were lined up and they all went out of the court. Look at that pilgrim. He leapt into the air and, with one twist of his torso, arrived at the monastery before them. The priests there hurriedly knelt down to receive him, saying, "When the venerable father left, he walked with the rest of his companions. Why did you descend from the sky today? Where is that old master of yours?" asked Pilgrim, laughing. "Ask him to come out quickly, so that you may set up incense tables to receive the royal carriage. The King and Queen of India, along with many officials and my master, are about to arrive." The various monks could not quite comprehend what he was saying, and they asked the old priest to come out. When the old priest caught sight of Pilgrim, he bent low and said, "Venerable father, what have you found out about the princess?" Thereupon Pilgrim gave a thorough rehearsal of how the false princess tossed an embroidered ball to try to wed the Tang monk, how he fought and chased her, and how Lord Supreme Ying appeared to take away the jade hair. The old priest again kowtowed to express his thanks. Raising him with his hands, Pilgrim said, "Stop bowing. Stop bowing. Prepare quickly to receive the imperial carriage." Only then did those priests discover that a girl had been locked up in the back room. In amazement, they all went to help set up incense tables beyond the monastery gate. After putting on the cassocks, they began to toll the bells and roll the drums as they waited. In a little while the imperial carriage did indeed arrive. Truly, auspicious mists and fragrance fill the sky, when to this rustic temple grace draws nigh. Like a timeless rainbow cleansing streams and seas. Like springtime lightnings of sage kings' dynasties. Such kindness the sylvan beauty advances. Such moisture the wild floral scent enhances. For relics left by an ancient elder. This precious hall receives a wise ruler. The king reached the monastery gate and was met outside by those monks in orderly rows. They all prostrated themselves to receive him. Then he saw Pilgrim standing in their midst. "How did the divine monk manage to get here first?" asked the king. "Old Monkey arrived here with a mere twist of his torso," said Pilgrim, chuckling. "Why did you people take half a day to do it?" Thereafter the Tang monk and the others arrived. With the elder leading the way, they went to the room at the back of the monastery, where they found the princess still babbling and feigning madness. Going to his knees, the old priest pointed to the room and said, "Inside this room is the lady princess who was blown here last year by the wind." The king at once ordered the door opened, and they removed the iron lock from the door. When the king and queen caught sight of the princess and recognized her face, they rushed forward to embrace her, not at all bothered by the filth. "Our poor child," they cried. "What bitter fate has caused you to suffer like this here?" Truly, the reunion of parents and child is not the same as any other kind of reunion. The three of them hugged each other and wailed. After they had cried for a while, and had given expression to how greatly they missed each other, the king ordered scented liquid to be sent in for the princess so that she could bathe and change her clothing. They then climbed onto the imperial chariot together to return to the capital. Afterward, Pilgrim greeted the king once more with hands folded in front of him and said, "Old Monkey has another matter to bring to your attention." Returning his greeting, the king said, "We shall obey whatever instruction the divine monk has for us." Pilgrim said, "They told me that in your mountain here, the one named 100 Legs, there are centipedes that have become spirits recently, and have harmed people during the night. The travelers and merchants have found that a great inconvenience. Since roosters are the natural foes of centipedes, I think you should select 1,000 huge roosters and scatter them throughout the mountain, so that these poisonous insects will be eliminated. You should change the name of this mountain also, and you should bestow a building decree to this monastery as a token of your gratitude for this monk's care for the princess." Exceedingly pleased, the king immediately sent officials into the city to fetch the roosters. The name of the mountain was changed to Precious Flower. The Bureau of Labor was told to provide the necessary materials for the repair and renovation of the monastery, and its name was changed to the Royal Benefactor of Orphans Gold-Spreading Monastery of the Precious Flower Mountain. The priest was appointed a monk official, with the perpetual title of patriotic and an official salary of 36 stones. The monks, after giving thanks, saw the imperial carriage return to court, where the princess entered the various palaces to be reunited with her kinfolk. Large banquets were prepared for celebrating her homecoming and reunion with her family. The king and his subjects also joined in the revelry, drinking and feasting all evening. The next morning, the king issued the decree for portraits to be made of the 4 sage monks and mounted in the Chinese and barbarian loft. The princess, with fresh clothing and makeup, was asked to come out to thank the Tang monk and his 3 disciples once more for her deliverance. After that, the Tang monk wanted to take leave of the king to journey westward, but the king, of course, refused to let them go. Again, they were fated for 5 or 6 days, thus providing excellent opportunities for our idiot to stuff himself repeatedly. When the king saw, however, how eager they were in their desire to worship Buddha, rejecting all entreaties for them to stay, he presented them with 200 ingots of gold and silver and a platter of treasures. Master and disciples refused to take even a penny. The king then ordered the imperial carriage for the old master to ride in and many officials to escort him to a great distance. The queen, the concubines, the officials, and the people all kowtowed without ceasing to express their thanks. When they reached the outskirts of the city, they saw the priests of the temple, too, had come to bow and see them off, reluctant to take leave of the pilgrims. When Pilgrim saw that all the people were unwilling to turn back, he had no choice but to make the magic sign with his fingers and blew a mouthful of immortal breath toward the ground on the southwest. Immediately a gust of dark wind blinded the people's eyes, and only then could the pilgrims proceed, truly cleansed by gracious waves, to return to revealing cause. They left the sea of gold to awake to the true void. We do not know what the journey ahead was like. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter.